Hey everybody, I'm glad to be back with my two friends. I'm Eric JB with Nate A and George L. And this is a podcast, a show also going to, put on YouTube by the name of MCU Therapy because I realized that, the MCU is giving such great shows, awesome shows, and I just need to analyze it. I need to talk about it. So I pulled my two friends over here who watched the show. We all got Disney Plus, and we've been watching Falcon and the Winter Soldier. George, you missed out our first analysis. We had Geneva fill in your spot, and now we're going to talk about the last two episodes of the Captain Oh no, sorry, Captain America and the
Yeah.
Winter Soldier. All right, that is the show. It changed from Falcon and the Winter Soldier to Captain America and the Winter Soldier. So, like all the time, anybody who's watching or listening, spoiler alert: if you haven't seen the last two episodes, put this on, put this on layaway. Save this episode. Come back to it later because we're gonna get into it. So, first and foremost, the title. Captain America and the Winter Soldier. We have revealed that Sam has passed the mantle of Falcon on to whoever will take it next, hint, hint, and now has received the mantle of Captain America full and foremost. The last scene we saw in episode 5 was him opening the chest from Wakanda that Bucky called in a favor for. And we got to see him in his very comic book accurate, his Captain America uniform suit that he wears in the comic and now officially in the MCU. So, guys, is Sam a good Captain America and why? Tell me, George. Tell me. Come on, man.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, first off, all right, I gotta be honest. All right, I'm gonna give it to you straight. Even as a man of color, I gotta be honest. Bucky's a better character than Sam in the series. I'm sorry. I enjoyed him more. I don't know. There's something lacking about Anthony Mackie. I don't know what it is. I think we talked about this when we talked about WandaVision and we were, previewing this show. To me personally, right, the scenes where they're talking about race and all that hits hard, and the speech that Sam gives at the end, you can tell his Captain America is. It feels more like it's more centered about bringing about peace and settling problems, right? With Steve's Captain America, it felt like more of a symbol, but a symbol of physical force that you could solve problems with physical force and pride and belief. Sam's doesn't feel that way, and to me, I'm not saying Sam's not a good Captain America, because the whole point of him being, the black Captain America and him being different, he's going to have to go through hardship after hardship, convincing people to believe in his message and believe that he, wants to be a good Captain America for not only America, but for the entire world, because he's a symbol, of black excellence and all these other things. But his character to me just feels generic. It just feels generic. It lacks personality throughout the whole show. You can ask Nate. The whole situation with his sister and the boat, I just felt like I'm not feeling this. I'm not feeling this.
Listen.
And then when anytime, Bucky's on the screen, I felt what Bucky was going through, with the Notebook and how, the pressures of having to deal with what he did in the past and re-putting himself into society. The scene where Bucky's in Wakanda and, the Wakanda tells him, "You are free," and he gets emotional. That hit deep. When I see Sam, I'm just like, okay. You're a black man who's trying to be Captain America. You're trying to be different, You're trying to take what Steve taught you and put it in your own way. But I'm just like, something's lacking, bro. Something's lacking. I don't know if I'm the only person that feels this way, but I feel like they didn't do a good enough job of convincing me that Sam's ready to take up the mantle. It felt like it more should have been Bucky's to take, if I'm being 100% honest. The suit is cool. The design looks cool, right? He has the appearance and everything like that. His skills are kind of cool. But at the end of the day, right now, if I'm being 100%, Sam is not the right guy to be Captain America.
Wow.
It should have been Bucky, if you ask me.
Wow. George always with the hot takes. The hot fire takes that we could disagree with. I'm going to give it to Nate to give a rebuttal or agree with that. And then I have to say something.
Okay. So this is the one thing when it comes
You put the hoodie on.
Yes, I did. Because
Oh
I have
my
a
gosh.
point to make, okay? I have a point to make tonight.
Aye, aye, aye.
So this is the only thing when it comes to the MCU where George and I starkly disagree on. Completely disagree on. Because here's my thing. The only reason why I feel like it feels that way is only because of how short the show was. You only had 6 episodes. You only had 6 episodes to really get into it. But hold on now. Hold on. In the comics, Bucky had his chance to be Captain America. Okay? This is the difference between Bucky in the comics versus Sam. Or at least in this light. Hold on. I'm about to go off right now. Okay? Listen. I'm gonna be straight up with you, okay? Captain America, if you can obviously tell, is one of my favorite superheroes ever, right? And the significance of it was more that Bucky wasn't the right guy because it wasn't his mantle to carry. The significance of Sam in the comics of becoming Captain America, when it was written at the time that it was written, the whole idea was for it to be a black Captain America. See, and Sam gives that entire speech at the end of the show after he's done beating up Carly and the Flag Smashers and whatever, where millions of Americans were not going to be okay with Sam being Captain America. But it's because of Sam Wilson that black people have a Captain America. That's the importance of it all. It wasn't a matter of whether or not he was the greatest fit. That wasn't the point of the show. The point of the show was that at the end of Endgame, Steve chose Sam. That's the whole idea. And I think people miss the mark when it comes to that because it's like Steve chose Sam. You see, in the comics, Steve got too old and then Bucky became Captain America. In the comics, Steve was out and about, so then Sam became Captain America. But in the MCU, Steve gave the shield to Sam with purpose because Steve saw beyond. And even Bucky admits that Steve didn't even consider all the options about race. All Steve knew was that this was the man that I chose to carry on the shield. And that's the thing that Bucky had mentioned because Steve talked to Bucky about it first. He did. Before Steve gave the shield off, he talked to Bucky. He said, listen, I'm going to give Sam this shield. And Bucky mentions it in episode 5, how, Steve and I never thought of the big implications of a black man being Captain America. But the whole idea was that Steve, regardless of race, Steve chose Sam because he felt like this is going to be my successor. And that's the important part that you need to remember in the whole thing. So yes, Sam feels to a degree, he handled the shield in a bad way. But Steve still chose him for a reason. And that's the whole point of the entire show. It's not that Sam was the perfect fit because realistically, John Walker was the better looking fit, right? That was the whole idea of the show. That's what they were trying to drive. But the sheer fact that Steve chose a black man to represent the entire country, but didn't even see his race as a factor, goes to show why Sam is deserving of the shield.
And here's my rebuttal to George's hot fire take. That's why I love having him on the show. But listen, this is my hot fire take. As Sam being a foil to Steve, I feel that he is the perfect foil in the fact that Steve was also bland. Steve was bland. And that's the whole point about Steve. Steve as Captain America was literal American apple pie and vanilla ice cream. Right? There's nothing evil or wrong with him. That's why he was able to pick up Mjolnir, no problem, because he's just pure heart, just like Vision, the first Vision, pure heart. That's why they can pick it up. And that's what I think is really important in what the show was saying, in telling us that Sam is like Steve. And Steve saw that. That's why he gave the shield. That's what made this show so good. And the fact that Sam's the perfect fit. Now, can we say, oh man, he's boring and, he doesn't have any interesting parts and levels to his character like Bucky does? Because Bucky has amazing levels. I mean, this guy was brainwashed and he remembers all of it. And he's just hanging out with the people whose relatives he assassinated because he feels terrible about it. I mean, that is levels upon levels, and it's awesome. I mean, he hanged out in Wakanda, he has one arm, and all these kinds of cool things. But I think we have to remember that that's how Steve was, and I think if we embrace Steve, we should easily embrace Sam. And I think that's the whole point of the show, and the fact that now we, as viewers of the show and the people who are in the reality of MCU, have to embrace Sam as Captain America, because man, he does it good. And let's get on to another layer. He does the job so well that even this weird exchange at the end with U.S. agent John Walker now, because he's been demoted, right? He's no longer working for the official government. He is now U.S. agent, so he still has a uniform, and he made his own shield that is worthless because it's no vibranium in it.
Duct tape.
Duct tape and iron, and just a little bit of his one of his medals of honor that he puts into it. So there's this exchange after he does that powerful speech, Sam, on the news in front of the senators, where U.S. agent gives him a head nod and walks away, and then he starts talking to Bucky. So, even though I didn't like the fact that this dude gets to walk around free and gets to be a hero and everyone's cool with him after killing somebody on national television, I think in that moment it was kind of solidifying that even John Walker realized, whoa, yeah, this is the guy. They picked me because I look good and all that stuff, but Sam makes it look easy. And that's what it is. Captain America is not an easy job, but Sam makes it look easy, just like Steve does. So, going along in the vein of U.S. Agent, this character I need to talk about. This character was big news. Julia Louis-Dreyfus. She was revealed in episode 5, so that was after our first analysis video. In the beginning of episode 5, when they stripped John Walker of his ability to be Captain America, and said, you are no longer officially Captain America. You are no longer a captain in the United States military. You are discharged, not honorably, but not dishonorably, which is weird. If you get my drift, because dishonorable discharge, you are worse than a criminal, but honorably discharged, you get to have your pension. So he doesn't get his pension, but he's not treated as a criminal. So it's weird. But anyway, he meets Contessa, played by Julia Louis-Dreyfus. I was watching a video earlier where when she'd walk around the studio, they would literally put on Darth Sidious cloak over her, so no one would know that Julia Louis-Dreyfus is now officially in the MCU. And I don't know about you guys. I'm going to give it up to you guys to talk about it. But man, were they so right? Because when I saw it was her and how she played Contessa with immaculate brilliance, comedic timing, my goodness, I'm like, this character is going to be making them some money. What do you guys think?
Well, in the grand scheme of things, Contessa Valentina de Fontaine is a character who is essentially like a triple quadruple agent who works for Hydra, who works for Shield, who has her own little thing going on. So I loved how it was her. And at first I thought she was going to be the power broker. until I realized, until she gave her
Yep.
name, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
no, because as we're about to talk about later on, we found out who the real power broker is. But still, it's having her there. They're really trying to set up. You see, the thing that I noticed they're doing is they're trying to build up all these other movies and shows, but they're doing it extremely subtly. It's not like WandaVision where it was very obvious or they were trying to juke us out. But all these additions to the MCU are being very subtle now, to where they're setting up the Dark Avengers because now we have US Agent and we have Contessa and she's there, and we already have the Young Avengers being built up. We have the Dark Avengers being built up at the same time. So I think that's the subtle thing that people are very excited about. It's just that now we're starting to see what's going on, and she man, if they had to pick everybody, I feel like this is a perfect fit. It's a perfect fit. I can't even. It's just like with Ryan Reynolds and Deadpool.
Yes,
born to play the role. You know what I mean?
And I think that's what happened. I think she didn't audition. They didn't even have her read the script. They were just like, this is the MC. This is Kevin Feige. Julia Louis-Dreyfus, would you like to join? We need you to play Contessa. And she said, oh yeah, I could do that. And they're like, please just play it like you always play every role to brilliance. So here she comes in. They do the camera shot on her boots. So you can be like, oh, this is something that's important to the character, comic-wise, if you know. And it's like, there she is. She doesn't have the white streak, but it's a purple streak. And man, the way she talks, man, it's that sleazy government agent that is in every government it's like every government has them, where they're dirty, they're bad, but the government has them and they're doing this stuff. And here's the thing, in the comics, she's called Madam Hydra. So yeah, she works for Hydra and all these things. So George, as well as telling us about your feels about Contessa, where do you feel, we're going to see the plans of the Dark Avengers, US Agent, and Contessa going?
It's all right. It's tough to think about because the way I'm looking at it, right? All these shows, notice how all these shows, it seems like it takes place in a short time period after Endgame, right? Because one thing that, when we were watching it, we were thinking like, where the heck is Doctor Strange? They're in New York of all places, right? Why isn't, Peter Parker involved in this, And we knew they weren't going to appear, but it's just like location, right? They got to know what's happening. Clearly, they're setting up something here with the Avengers. This is where this is all leading. One of my theories was that, all right, Endgame takes place in it came out 2019. Right, and Endgame takes place in 2023, I believe, right? 2023. So I feel like this is all building towards they're trying to wait till, God willing, we get the 2023 and they can, match up everything with the timeline. Now you're bringing the US Agent. Now you got Contessa, right? I'm thinking beyond that with the Dark Avengers. I'm thinking this is all leading to Secret Invasion. This is where they're really going with all this. They're bringing in all these characters, right? And we still have all these other series, which we'll probably get to at some point. I feel like, yes, you got the Dark Avengers. Yes, you got the Young Avengers. Yes, you got, the regular Avengers. And then you got everything going on with Sword and Nick Fury in space and all this. More likely, you think of Contessa, you think of someone that is all about power. You think about somebody that knows how to crack people open like an oyster. They get her way. They get what she wants. I feel like this is all leading to Secret Invasion because you have all these characters, right? And think about it. Whenever they do this massive Avengers film, whenever it is, you're going to have to fit all these people on screen. So how are you going to split them up? Well, I feel like they're bringing all these characters. So when Secret Invasion comes, right, they're going to flip the script. They're going to be characters that you love that are now going to become the bad guys. You're going to have characters that you may not like as much, like John Walker, right? And then he might become one of the main heroes of the whole thing. Because at the end of the day, the way I look at it, sure, John Walker's the U.S. agent now. But the thing about it is, his whole character arc is about the pressure of being Captain America, pressure that he never really wanted. He cared more about doing the job, right? And now him being the U.S. agent with Contessa, he gets to do the job, but Contessa can kind of manipulate it so that it fulfills her goals. So this is all to me leading up to Secret Invasion, and not only Contessa, but all these other characters that have yet to be revealed to us, right? And then it's all going to lead to that big explosion, whatever you want to call it, where the MCU completely flips its head. Because you think about it, with this series, there was almost no mention of the multiverse. There was almost nothing, if you really think about it, right? It was just a story of Falcon, Winter Soldier, right? Falcon becoming Captain America, but them going after Kali and these people who are mad that everyone that came back is trying to kick them out when they were getting used to life the way it was, and it made things easier for them, you know? So notice how there was nothing about the multiverse, nothing like that, but they put in Contessa at episode 5, and the thing is, she doesn't even get many scenes. And so if you got to think about that for a second, they're planning something big. They don't want you thinking about it, right? Or maybe they do. So you come up with these outlandish theories, and then they can just be like, ha, 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 we're going to wait a couple of years just to flip everything on its head, and then we'll give you what you want. So that's what I feel like this is leading to, right? Right now, we're coming up with the Dark Avengers thing, but I'm just thinking, no, it's not just the Dark Avengers. They're going even higher. They're going the Secret Invasion route, and that's where this is all leading to, in my opinion, right now.
So usually with your crazy theories, I'm like, nah. But this one, I totally agree. Secret Invasion is definitely on their radar. It's gonna be it. We're gonna see it, especially with Nick Fury always being in space with the Skrulls. And we already had the last Spider-Man. You thought it was Nick Fury. It wasn't. It was a Skrull the whole time. Mm-hmm. So they're putting that into our heads already. And man, oh man, this is the other thought I wanted to get to with this, with Contessa, the way she talks, especially when in episode 6, last episode, all the super soldiers, Karli dies at the end of the battle, and she passes, she's gone. But the other super soldiers that are part of the Flag Smashers survive, and they are going to be transported to the raft and be in the vicinity of Zemo. So next week, we know the armored vehicle that is transporting them explodes, and we see a butler in a nice vehicle going, and then next thing you know, it cuts to Zemo listening to the news that they exploded, and then you say, oh, this dude, he's in the raft, but we haven't seen the last of him. And also, he was like, I ain't gonna be sharing no bunks with some super soldiers. No. They are not coming this way. And which leads me to my other thought about Contessa, which is after that, Contessa looks at this and goes, ha! This is awesome. It's like I planned it. But I didn't. But I did. But it would be like she keeps talking like that. So she's making not only Parker's wife second, she's making us guess. Like, is she working with Zemo? Will we see Zemo again? Because she's working both sides, and all these things are, was it just a happy coincidence, as she said? Or did she know about it and she just didn't stop it? Ooh, these are the characters, man. Like Amanda Waller in DC, these characters, they make you go, uh-oh, because they are just as scary as the people with superpowers, because they know how to use power in crazy ways. Like, I mean, sometimes I even wonder, like, if I was in the MCU, would I rather just get a punch from Hulk and know that I'm dead, or would I or be on Contessa's bad side and be through mental torture, or Green Goblin and think I'm a clone like he did to Peter Parker. Like the mind games that certain villains can do. So anyway, on top, I want to get about this is in our predictions, George, as you know, Nate knows, we fail our predictions all the time. Like we are practically 99.9% always wrong. And here is one of the places where we were wrong, but I'm happy we were wrong. We thought that after the events of episode 4 with the blood on the shield, we would come to an episode 5 and they would just try to sweep it under the rug. The government did not do this. They declared, John Walker, you are dismissed, and because of your heroic service in the past, that's why we're not going to court-martial you. But you're done. You're out. Bye-bye. And part of me was going, oh, that's good. But I'm also saying, wait a second. Please try him though. Try him, because if this was Bradley, they would have threw away the key, and they did that, and he was innocent. And that's another thing about this show. It tells you how like Bradley saved lives and was obedient and good, and they still put him in jail. John Walker does the bad stuff in front of everybody, and they let him go free. Right? So what's your thoughts on that, guys?
I mean, that's the commentary. That's people at first were trying to say, why are you making this show all about race? And then we got the last couple episodes. And then you find out, oh my gosh, the show is all about race. And we had been seeing that throughout the show. A few of us picked up on it early, but 5 and 6, the last 2 episodes, they just blatantly just throw it out there. Like they were just outright direct. They said, you know what? This is what this is about. We're going to go there. We're going to go there. And usually the MCU doesn't take that serious of a tone. It doesn't really address situations like that. But clearly it had to be addressed. And if you want to make this kind of universe realistic, that like this is what it's like if these things were happening in real life, that's what you have to address. And it's kind of crazy because that's the whole thing about it that drives the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, to the point where in the dialogue, Bucky outright says, as I mentioned before, Steve and I never thought about a black man having the shield. And you kind of sit back and go, whoa, Marvel, like, okay, like this is where we're going. But it's good that these kind of conversations are happening. But the whole dynamic of Isaiah Bradley saving people, he did the exact same thing as Steve in the first movie. And they put him in a lab for 30 years. John Walker decapitates someone in Latvia, which again, I'm reminding everybody it happened in Latvia. So already we get our first Fantastic Four reference, but I'm going to leave that there. So in Latvia, he decapitates somebody and the government just lets him go. That's kind of messed. So it leads you to think, what would have happened if Sam were to do the same thing? And Sam saved the universe. But I guarantee you they would have tried him. That's what the show wants you to think about. Sam gets treated like a black athlete, but he just got finished saving the whole entire universe. But yet he's treated like a bum. John Walker has not done anything to the scale of what Sam has done in his Avengers career, and yet he just gets off easy. Just saying, man. Like, John Walker wasn't there when they were fighting a giant purple alien for the fate of half the universe. Just saying.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying all the way. And you got to think also, they've already made it clear that we're getting a Captain America 4. So what do you think what's going to be one of the major plot lines in that movie? They're going to continue with the race themes. I'm on the bet, and then it's super early. But what if Sam makes some kind of mistake, or he does make some kind of controversial choice, right? How is the government going to react to that? And I was able to find, I have it right here. I was able to find what it actually said on, because at the end of the movie or the episode 6, when Sam takes Isaiah to the memorial, and he has the statue for him.
Yeah.
What it says on the actual thing, which is this blew my mind. Isaiah Bradley is an American hero whose name went unknown for too long. Isaiah was one of a dozen African American soldiers who was recruited against their will and without their consent for participation in human testing in pursuit of the super soldier serum. Most did not survive. The few who lived through the testing were sent on secret missions during the Korean War. During the conflict, against all odds, Bradley rescued his fellow soldiers and 26 others from behind enemy lines. However, fearful of the ramifications of a black super soldier, some individuals within the government tried to erase Isaiah's story from history. His family was issued a falsified death certificate, and for decades, the truth of his unflinching bravery was buried. That's crazy, because now you have that on display, right? But now, wouldn't that send people Isaiah's way as well? You know, you gotta think about how corrupt the government is. We've seen that in the MCU all the time. It's only a matter of time till they find Isaiah, and who knows where that could lead, right? This race thing is not going away, and I'm glad Marvel did it, because they were gonna have to do it sooner rather than later. You know, you have this diverse cast of characters, right? And I honestly thought they were gonna wait to do this with Black Panther 2, you know, with you know, well, rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman, but you know, Wakanda being connected to the rest of the world, especially, you know, Black Panther being an Avenger, and then how they get to tie that with American and all that. I thought that's what they were gonna save this for, but I'm glad that they're doing it now so that they can continue going it forward. Because Marvel at this point, like I've said this before, Marvel can do whatever they want. They can do whatever they want. You know, it's just a matter of how we're going to react to it. We're still going to watch at the end of the day, right? So with the black theme, right, if they continue this, I'm telling you right now, when Sam makes a controversial choice or he makes a decision that actually causes harm, but clearly he didn't mean it, but, you know, kind of like, remember how they reacted when what Wanda did in Civil War, at the beginning of Civil War? That's right. Remember how people reacted to that. And we've seen the way they acted to John Walker. He still got to be technically a free man, right? And now he's the U.S. agent. Who knows where that's going to lead, right? But now Sam is basically the symbol of America. He's one of the symbols of the world. So how are you going to react when a black man, a man of color, makes a decision? Are you going to treat him the same way, especially knowing the legacy that he has with that shield? Because let's be honest, does the government even know how much trust Steve had in Sam? They don't know their conversations, right? We know that as the audience, but the government doesn't know that, right? I always ask myself this: does the government know what truly happened to Steve? Did they truly even tell that Steve, you know, went back in the past and, you know, he became an old man? Or did something else happen to him? We never got that explanation. I asked Nate this all the time. Why did we get a scene where we saw Steve's burial, or at least his gravestone?
They could, right? In his little thing, it says that he just retired. So Steve is just somewhere on the moon. That's what everybody just assumed.
That's what I'm saying. So you got all these things about Sam's relationship with the government now, especially that he's Captain America, right? He's not just a normal Avenger. You're the face of the Avengers, technically, if you really think about it. He's the face. He's the face. You know, Tony's gone. All right. And we don't know how things are going to change with Peter Parker and Doctor Strange and all this. He's the face now of the superhero world. So how are people going to react as a black man when he makes that controversial choice? That's going to be the next step. And I cannot wait to see how Marvel does it.
And here's the thing that makes this so critical. Nate said it good. Like, you know, they're trying to make it like, you know, if superheroes were in our world, all the things that they mention of this systemic racism actually happened. The super soldier testing on the black Americans was fashioned after the Tuskegee experiment, which is real. Black soldiers who didn't know what they were getting were given diseases to test out vaccines and stuff like that. And this is gross, negligent, and unethical behavior, but they did it because they were black, right? And this is real. And that the statement that you said, George, how will they react? Listen, this is pointing out how it feels to be a black man and how we're always on pins and needles saying, I can't make any mistake. Because if we make a mistake, whatever I have, they're going to take it from me. Right? And I think that's what was weighing on Sam in the beginning and why he didn't want the shield. And he felt imposter syndrome. And then he realized he needs to take it, and he took it. And I think that's something that's going to weigh on him throughout his Captain America career. You know, what if I make a mistake? Because it doesn't even have to be a mistake where people get harmed, George. It doesn't even have to be a mistake.
It's true. Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be a mistake where bad things happen. It could be just a decision that is like unlike other decisions. He just does it something, you know, he decides to walk out on his press conference to, you know, NWA, right? And they're like, oh, look what America's become. Captain America likes NWA, you know, because literally our former president came out in a summer month in a tan suit, and Fox News lost their minds. Their heads exploded because here is our president, and because he doesn't want to wear a dark black or dark navy as all presidents usually do, he wears a tan suit, and he looked fly, by the way. He looked good. The suit was tailored. He looked fresh, okay? They weren't saying he didn't look fresh. They were just saying, how can our president wear tan while he's still working on working as a good president, doing what's right, balancing the budget, getting jobs, working for our benefit. And because he wore a tan suit, we're going to spend a whole day criticizing him and bringing him down? That's what's going to happen. I bet you we might get a clip where people like, look at Captain America had 3 stripes in his uniform. Sam Wilson has 2. What is America coming to? By the way, that was kind of like a symbolism to the missing man formation, and that Captain's gone. So the 2 stripes are like Sam and Bucky, but Cap's gone, you know? So, but I'm telling you, that's what's going to happen. It's not even going to be a bad decision. It's going to be Sam does this. Like, he wants to meet. He wants the Avengers to have a meeting at 9:00. Oh, you see, that's what happens when you give Captain America to a black man, and that's what happens in real life. Because literally, I gave you a good example. Our United States president, who was elected by a majority vote, who was doing a good job, okay. They had nothing to say about him in his work ethic. Because he wore a tan suit, everyone lost their minds. So can you imagine with Captain America? It's like, oh, his color scheme. It's not the same as Steve Trevor.
Too much gray.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what it is, and this is what makes this such a good show to analyze. All right, guys, let's get to it. Episode 6, it was finally revealed who the power broker is and who it was all along. Just like in WandaVision, all along, it was Agatha. The power broker all along was Sharon Carter.
Oh my God.
Okay. Here, I kind of agree with what I've been hearing about people not liking it. And here's the reason I agree with it. And I'll give you 2 reasons why. Number 1, there's so many things that we missed out because she's the power broker, like Nate's Fury of Dr. Doom and stuff like that, who I still think could, you know, the U.S. agent getting let free could still open the door for Dr. Doom to say, listen, if you guys aren't going to take care, I'm going to have to start doing what I need to do. But there's that reason. Number 2, the reason I feel like they gave it to her is because of the backlash of her character in Captain America.
Oh my gosh.
Because she was so one-dimensional and everybody saw through it and they couldn't stand it. And that's why they didn't bring her back. So in the story, she was on the run all this time and she never was brought back. And the reason that she was never, because they weren't going to use her as a love interest for Steve, because the fans were like, ew, we don't want her as a love interest for Steve. Because in the comics, she becomes a bigger character than Peggy and a bigger love interest for Steve than Peggy. All right. So, and there's so much story in her character because of that. But because of our reaction, rightfully so, because if you think about it,
it's weird.
It's so weird.
But you're like, that's your dead girlfriend's niece.
Yeah, and now you're gonna get with her. No, see, in the comics it works, but in real life, when you seeing it,
you do it in the movies, yeah,
you're like, So because her character wasn't liked and it was so one-dimensional, they put some grit in her character. You know, they put a little Bucky story in it, and the fact that one, she's on the run all this time and she didn't get her pardon, so they're trying to give her a pardon and all these things. So you're feeling bad. You're like, oh man, she had to be on the run all this time. And then you realize that because she was on the run all this time, she becomes a selfish person who uses her skills to benefit herself, which is what a lot of spies do in movies when they're burned, right? They go on into work for their own. So she ends up being the power broker. So the reveal was kind of a letdown, but I feel like they're overcompensating because of her initial being so one-dimensional. They're like, let's surprise people by making her the power broker and giving her some story. So what you guys think?
Like, I didn't, when I found, like, I watched it, I was just like, okay, I guess. Like, I wanted Sharon to keep being a good guy because, like, I feel like you said in Winter Soldier, her character was so dry that, like, you kind of just wish that they could do more with her. And she has so much history behind her. So to kind of like Sharon Carter is one of those characters that if you had fully expounded upon her, she could have gotten her own movie. That's just how I feel. And they just, to make it the power broker, I feel like Marvel was all just like, okay, you can't reveal too much. You can't do too much. But then they're all just like, dang, now we got to figure out who we got to reveal as a power broker. I feel like it would have just been better off for them not to reveal the power broker at all.
Thank you.
They didn't, like, you didn't, like, what I really think, it's like, bro, we didn't even need to know who the power broker was. Because at the end of the story, it didn't even really matter, honestly. Like, I would have been perfectly fine with being like, ooh, who's the power broker? You know, like at the end of the show, be like, bro, the power broker is still out there. But then when you make it Sharon, you kind of just like eliminate an entire essential character from the comics. There's so many different stories you could have done with Sharon, but now she's evil. So it's like, okay, now we got to beat her. She's probably going to be in Captain America 4. Let's figure out how to deal with Sharon. But it's like, come on. Like, you didn't need to tell us who the power broker was. I would be perfectly fine with not knowing who it is and still thinking it could be Doctor Doom. Like, that would have been crazy. Like, Doctor Doom being the power broker, A, that makes way more sense. And B is kind of just like, hey, yo, like, this is actually crazy. Like, bro, but like, it didn't bother me, but I was kind of just like, really? I felt the same way I felt when we got Ralph Boner. The same exact feeling. I was like, really? Like, you didn't, like, come on.
And that's the term. Whenever MCU lets us down, we're gonna say, we just got Ralph Bonered.
Yeah, we really did.
But let me tell you guys this. It also, I think, takes away from the awesomeness of Contessa, because Contessa was already that character, this dark ops spy who's doing dirty deals and all these things, who knows where everything is. She knows all the history. She knows, she knows John Walker had the super soldier, took it and all that stuff. As she said, so why do we need another one? Why does it have to be Sharon? Now we have two. Now we have Contessa and Sharon, and they're both working for the government. Well, it's not revealed that Contessa's working for the government, but we can kind of assume that she has good funding. And we have Sharon, who's been readmitted back into S.H.I.E.L.D., and she smiles at the end and says, oh, hey, everybody. Super soldier serum's off the market, but, technology and weapons. It's all up for sale. And it's like, yeah, we get it. You know, just like the spy who sells government stuff. Okay, but we already have that. Why do we need another one? And why does it got to be shit? And you know, I feel like, because I think also, if I'm not mistaken, Emily Van Camp, who plays the character, was also not happy in how the character was so one-dimensional. Like, she was already falling for Steve, and like Steve was like, no, thank you. So, yeah. So, but yeah. What do you say, George?
It sucks. It's one of the bad decisions from the show. Look. What was the episode she appeared in? It was episode 3. That was the first episode she appeared in.
The episode was named "The Power Broker."
I was like, you know, at the end of the episode.
Oh, wow, you're right. Oh, that gets me mad.
At the end of the episode, when she's on the phone, talk to her contact after they drive off, I'm just like, she's not a good guy. Like, I could tell this is not the same character. She looked all, you know, badass with the knife and everything, you know, and, you know, take it out. But I'm just like, you know, they're trying too hard to make her more interesting. That's what it came off as. And, you know, then I remember at the end of episode 5, right when, you know, it stops with Sam opening up his new suit. I told Nate and Geneva when we were watching it, I told them, we still don't know who the power broker is, right? There's no way they're going to be able to cram all that into one episode. So don't tell us. Don't tell us who it is, right? You can make us think that it's Contessa, right? Or here's the thing. I remember I said this too. Even if it isn't Contessa, at least make us think that she's connected to the power broker. Do something like that. I'll be fine. I don't need to know who the power broker is. I know there's going to be either a season 2 or there's going to be another Captain America movie. There's time. There's no rush. Sam's not going anywhere. Bucky's not going anywhere. And then how stupid did it feel at the end of episode 6 that Sam and Bucky, right, they're celebrating on the boat and they don't have one hint, not even one hint that it's her. It felt so underwhelming because at the end, she gets shot and then she kills Carly. And everything that just happens like boom, boom, boom. I'm just like, really? We're not going to get more dialogue? Can we at least get a little bit more on how she became like this? We understand she was on the run, but you saw how Sam was trying to do everything in his power to make things right for her, to bring her home, to get her back in the fold. Right? She was going to have a higher position than ever before. All this. And then just for that revelation, I'm just like, wow. And I remember at the end of the show, when I saw the post-credit scene, I'm just like, this is going to be disappointing. And it was disappointing. Right? Oh, yeah, we got weapons. Oh, yeah. I'm just like, how many times have we seen stuff like this? Right? And Nate, you said it best. She's going to be in Captain America 4. Right? She's going to be one of, if not the main villain. And I'm just like, is he even interesting enough to deserve to be the villain in a movie? It's one thing to be in a TV show, but a movie, is he even that interesting? No. Right?
What if she's a scroll?
What if she's a scroll? Oh my!
You said Secret Invasion, bro. What if she's a scroll and that's not the real Sharon?
Is everybody a scroll now?
But that, you know what's crazy, George?
It would make so much sense, though.
Here's the thing about Secret Invasion that I don't think you understand. The problem with the scrolls is that during the actual storyline, people were dying that you thought were just scrolls, but were actually dead. But people who you thought were real people were actually alive that were scrolls. That's the thing about Secret Invasion you need to understand. Secret Invasion will be the best Avengers movie if they do it as an Avengers movie. And I'll tell you why. It's because the plot twists that you can do with the scrolls are going to be so crazy that having Sharon Carter be a scroll the whole time just makes perfect sense. You didn't even know Nick Fury was a scroll until the end of Spider-Man Far From Home. So, like, because it's Sharon Carter. Something in the back of my head is telling me there's no way they're going to take such a staple in Marvel and just waste her character like that in the MCU. There's got to be a bigger story here. So her being a scroll, the more that I think about it, makes more and more sense because why would she wants to sell, right? Why do you think that she would want access to all the government weapons and stuff to use it on the world? Because they're trying to invade. So what if she's a scroll? That's just my thing. because she now has access to all the
Yeah,
things.
true. Because it would be the Captain America. It would be the Winter Soldier plot all over again.
It would, but this time it's on a grander scale because they built it up for the next Avengers movie. But listen, Marvel has completely annihilated my trust for them because every theory that we've come up with, we've just gotten screwed over repeatedly. Here I am thinking I'm going to see Doctor Doom and Mephisto when I get Ralph Boner and Sharon Carter being the power broker. So I don't care about
it. Yes. And here's the thing. Like, even though we didn't know Nick Fury was a Skrull, you still were kind of like, man, Nick Fury's a little off.
Yes.
And I think that's what they're trying to do. They're gonna give us the character, and you're gonna be like, oh, this is a character, but something's a little strange. And
Sharon's weird. She's weird. Something's different about her.
And something was off about it. Like, yeah, we understand that, you know, you were on the run all those years, and it really, you know, make you angry at the government, maybe probably want revenge, but this route is just, it's tired and it's done. And it's like, come
we've
on.
Seen it.
It
Yes.
seems too
We've
trash
seen
to believe.
And it's too much. Like, the fact that she's enjoying it and relishing it is like, no, that's not like,
Exactly.
I understand you wanting revenge, but like on the phone going, guess what's on the menu? Weapons. And like she's doing that like look like I'm evil and they don't know. It's like, no,
That never been her.
that's not what I want. Like anger and revenge, that kind of like, yeah, I'm gonna get my revenge.
You got to ask yourself, would she do this if Steve was still alive and still Steve? Would she truly be doing this? You know, it's just such a 180 from where she was.
He's coming back. I'm like, bro, Chris Evans is coming back. I'm saying, like, there's more to this whole because Marvel has always been so fantastic with how they deal with things. And this is why the more that we've been talking, the more it's hit me. I have a gut feeling they want us to feel this upset and depressed over these shows for a reason, to feel so let down for a reason. Because I think a couple years down the line, the payoff for all this stuff is going to be so crazy. We're going to be looking back at ourselves now and just going to be like, wow. wow. Because it's not like Marvel to give us such a lazy kind of like, yeah, so Sharon Carter is the power broker. Really? And they do it so nonchalantly. They kind of just like, the power broker because they're trying to get us to be like, yeah, Sharon's a power broker for now.
Yeah.
For now she is. And then some Avengers movie happens or some Avengers 2.5 type movie happens. And then like next thing you know, she's like a Skrull and it's all just like the real Sharon. We've been keeping her hostage in this thing in the center of the earth where we have a whole bunch of the humans we transform into to fake it and understand a lot. Like it could go in several different directions when you talk about Secret Invasion. So
boom. And that brings me to a character. I don't want to take too much time on this character, just a little bit because she's gone now. Carly Morgenthau as the leader of the Flag Smashers. One of the characters where I was just like, yeah, she needs to go. But I was sad for the actress because I love the actress. She is awesome. But the character of Carly was like, come on, man. You're going to just be, you're talking about one people, one world, but you're just killing people nonchalant all over the place. And in that line, she says to John Walker that makes you like John Walker. And I was like, you can't make me like, come on, Carly, you're making me like John Walker now? Come on. Where she says, I'm sorry that I killed your friend. I didn't want to kill somebody who didn't matter. And I said, no. Why? Why'd you just say that? And then John Walker says, what? You saying he didn't matter? And she goes, not in my fight. So I heard a TikToker say that Flag Smashers represent all lives matter.
I saw that theory too.
Yeah, in the fact that Carly's all about, we gotta the people that came back from the blip are getting better treatment than the people who stayed. So she's trying to say, one world, one people. Everyone should be treated equally, but you're killing people. And then she says to John Walker, Battlestar, he didn't matter. So it's like, you're saying all lives matter, but then you're saying certain people don't matter. And it was a black guy. So it's like, oh, the correlation there, ridiculous. So yeah, she fights and she dies. And I say good riddance to the Flag Smashers because, man.
They were just a distraction.
Yes, they were a distraction. I wish the actress well. I hope I see her in many, many roles. She's awesome. But yeah, Carly fought the Flag Smashers, man. What a weak bunch of I don't like villains that are just after ideals. I like villains who are there to mess with your mind. You know, like I mentioned earlier, Green Goblin making this dude think Peter Parker think he's a clone when he isn't. Bro, that's the good stuff.
When I think of the Flag Smashers, I think of the first 10 to 15 minutes of Avengers Age of Ultron. Right? I feel like the OG Avengers would have took them out. Snap. It would have been grips. Wouldn't matter. We would have moved on. The Flag Smashers, I didn't care about them. I didn't care about Carly. It was so bad. So bad that when she dies, you're just like, okay. Right? You know, and I understand, I guess it's a TV show or whatever, but really, are you going to make care? Really? Are we really doing this? And it goes back to like what Nate said. You know, maybe they're just saving this for something way bigger. It felt like they were only there to enhance Sam and Bucky so that Sam could become Captain America. All right. And that, you know, Bucky could realize how to finally get rid of his past and become the hero that Steve always saw in him. Right? Because Bucky says it best. If he was wrong about you, he was wrong about me. And that line sticks throughout the entire series. Carly, I'm just like, oh, whatever. Oh, like, goodbye. You know, not interesting. It's just like, you know, and she's blowing up, like Eric said, she's just blowing up random people. And I'm just like, really? How does this go with your message at all? And she's been like half the show trying to recruit Sam to her side. Like Sam would ever like go with this. If Sam had ever tried to work with her, I would have been like, I'm turning this off. I was like, it would have been. It's just like, wow,
guys. Something just hit me. Guys, these are shows. Why are we laundering the expectations of the movies on the shows? Now that I think about it, I'm like, oh my gosh,
it's the MCU.
The MCU, we've been so used to the movies giving all these crazy things and all this stuff. Guys, they're shows. They're only meant. I just thought about what you said, George. The Flag Smashers were only there to make Sam Cap. These shows are the transitional periods for the next phase of the MCU. Yes, they're part of Phase 4, but the shows are there to set up the movies. And I think I forget that. Why am I putting the expectations of the movies on the shows? I should have low expectations for the shows because the shows are only there to keep the story moving along and build everything up to set up for the movies that are going to give us the crazy twist, the amazing turns, the crazy storyline. All these shows are just like, they're basically a little bit more important than the Netflix Marvel shows. All these things are happening, like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. You got all these little things going on that tie into the main story. But the fans, what we're doing is we're wrongfully placing the expectations of the movies on the shows. Guys, they're shows. Yes, they have like 6-figure budgets. We get, or they have 7 or 9-figure budgets. We get that. But it's the show. So I got to stop thinking that it's going to do something crazy for me.
Listen, I agree in the fact that we're going to get the low-level villains. Even though I did mention that I like my villains like Green Goblin, I do understand in the shows we're not gonna get Thanos every time. You know, We're not gonna get the top level. We're not gonna get those guys. We're gonna get the transitional ones. Like Batroc the Leaper. You know, that's another low level one. And by the way, I hope he's still alive because I love Batroc the Leaper. He's a George St. Pierre. You know, is a great like keep him as a low level, show him every 5 minutes, you know, speaking French and leaping around and kicking butt and getting his butt kicked. You know, that's these little low levels. I love that stuff. But my thing was the idealism of her group, which was just annoying. But yeah, the other thing, guys, speaking about that. the power broker started them off by giving them the super soldier serum, and Carly does shoot Sharon. Isn't it weird that Sharon was all right? I just thought of that.
She is.
She didn't have to.
No, but I'm saying, bro. What if it's not her?
Oh.
What
See,
if it's
George
not
just got
her?
it too.
Oh.
That's what I was saying earlier. Because she should be dead. What?
Because
Oh.
at first I was thinking, oh, is she a super soldier? But now,
Huh.
I think if she's an alien that has better regenerative abilities, maybe that's the case why she didn't need to go to the hospital.
If she's a scroll, she can shape. Her physiology is different.
Yeah, that's another little tidbit. I think I may have to make a video and see if it'll go viral on my theory. But it's not. It's your. I just got off on it, but it's just. Yeah, she got shot and she's okay. She's acting weird. Maybe she's a Skrull too. Yeah. So, all right, guys, it was a pleasure to talk about Captain America and the Winter Soldier as we usually do. I like having a halfway analysis of the show and then an ending analysis. But you guys know what we usually do. We get it wrong all the time. But let's go into predictions. What is Captain America and Bucky gonna do next? What they gonna do? What they gonna do? What's down the road? We already kind of said that maybe Sharon's the villain for the next Captain America movie, but what's next for them, guys? Let's go, George. You're the one with the hot takes.
Oh, okay. I haven't thought about it too much. All right. But okay, clearly we're getting we're getting the movie. All right. And I feel like it has to be on a larger scale, right? You did New York, right? You did New York, but you gotta go higher, you gotta go bigger, you know? So maybe it's Sharon, but also what if it's Zemo? You know, what if it's Zemo? He set the ref, you know, and as long as Zemo's alive, he's always going to be a threat. He's always going to be a threat. So I'm thinking it could be Zemo. It could be a villain that we haven't seen yet, right? You know, but also I'm thinking, could it also lead, you know, from the events of Black Panther 2? Because I'm starting to think, you know, we saw the Wakandans in the series, right? We know that they're the ones who sent Zemo to the raft, but we know there's also a lot of change going on because, you know, since the passing of Chadwick Boseman, it's most likely going to get down. The power of Black Panther is going to go to Shuri, right? So what if for the next movie, plus, you know, we're talking all this about, you know, racism and all that. What if, you know, it has something to do with the plot line of Black Panther 2, and then, you know, Wakanda getting involved in the rest of the world, right? And also you get this epic team of Black Panther, or the new Black Panther, and potentially Captain America. We gotta start calling him Captain America. You know, it's so easy to call him Falcon or Captain Falcon. Well, you actually have to call him Captain America.
Or Black Falcon.
Or Black, whatever you want to call it. But I could definitely see, potentially, we see a large team up of the new Black Panther, Shuri, all right, Captain America, and Bucky, you know, going up against this big level villain. It could be Zemo's. What like someone brought it up earlier. What if Zemo's is working with the power broker? Look at what Sharon. Like, we don't know. And the thing about it is, like, the actors don't know. There's nothing really known about this movie right now. So we're just gonna have to sit back and wait. But I think, you know, just my opinion, that could be something, especially if we're going down this big theme of, you know, racism, and then Sam's journey now as being the Black Captain America. So I could definitely see that being a potential for the next movie.
Before you go in, Nate, I do have to say Zemo would not work with the power broker. He don't like super soldiers for any reason. All right, he kills super soldiers in his dreams. He goes to sleep, he goes night, and he goes, another super soldier dead. Another super soldier. You know, that's how he sleeps good. So I don't think he would work with the power broker.
Well, what if he works for one just to kill them?
Listen, I've been thinking while you guys have been talking, and I'm still stuck on the Secret Invasion thing. I just made my point about how the shows aren't the movies, but since let's think about it. Captain America 4 is going to come after all the movies in this timeline. All the movies are going to be tying into each other to get the next Avengers movie, obviously. So by the time Captain America 4 comes out, it will be before the next Avengers movie because they haven't announced when the next Avengers movie is coming out. So it will be before the next Avengers movie. And since it's a movie, it's going to have to tie into the next Avengers movie, right? So they planted the mini seeds in this. Because think about it. Now that I think about it, it makes perfect sense. You plant the seeds in the show, expound upon the seeds and build to the next thing in the movie, and then it ties into the Avengers movie. So this whole thing about Sharon, I'm on her head. I don't like, this isn't Sharon Carter, I believe. So in the movie, since it's going to have to tie into the next Avengers movie, there's going to be a post-credit scene in Captain America 4 where she's a Skrull. There's going to be some Skrull. There's going to be some Skrull activity going on because it makes perfect sense. So the next Avengers movie, imagine, the last Avengers movie was a universal threat. But imagine if the next Avengers movie was the exact opposite where the problem was from the inside out of world domination. I think the paradigm is perfect. So Captain America 4, I think you're going to have to deal with the Power Broker, Zemo, and it's going to be after Fantastic Four. Unless they decide to squeeze it in before, Fantastic Four is the last movie that was announced by Marvel. So we're going to get Doom, okay? And this whole situation happened in Latvia. I'm telling you, like the show, I'm done expecting a lot from the Marvel shows from here on for the rest of the year. I'm done because I'm starting to realize that all they need to do with the shows is plant the seeds.
Mm-hmm.
They don't need to reveal. What? Now that I think about it, why would they do that? They're just shows. Why would they waste the big surprises on the shows? You save that for the movies. Like Shang-Chi, I bet you something. I'm going to have to watch Shang-Chi because I know that's going to add to the next Avengers movie. Like, I know I have to watch it because it's going to go crazy. Black Widow, going to go crazy. Like, I have to watch Black Widow, even though that movie's from the past. Like, that's the thing that people need to get. And that's why I'm sticking on this whole Secret Invasion thing. Captain America 4 is going to be its own thing. Like how, but remember, the third Captain America movie is what sets up Infinity War because the Avengers are destroyed. They're broken up. And that was in the third Captain America movie. So the fourth Captain America movie, expectation is it's going to have to settle for the next Avengers movie. There's got to be a paradigm. And I'm sticking to that because it makes perfect sense in my head. You start small. The story is small from the show. Then the movie, it gets bigger. And then the next Avengers movie, it all is going to make sense. Then you're going to be able to be like, so that's why in the show, oh my gosh. I'm telling you. All
right, guys. So I have no real plot prediction because I'm just at a loss for this one. But this is my little prediction. And I kind of noticed it. Bucky has it's time for Bucky to get a girlfriend. And I think like Bucky is he's not gonna be chasing after a white girl. I feel like he's either going he's either gonna be visiting Wakanda when he finally gets that reprieve where he gets to visit and be the White Wolf and or Sam's sister, because I think Bucky has a little thing for the chocolate, which is I can't fault him because I like the chocolate too. I married chocolate, so that's my prediction. I feel like next time we see we're gonna see Bucky. He's still gonna be damaged. He's still gonna be working through a lot of things, but he's gonna be a little happier, a little better, a little less chip on his shoulder. Probably finally dating, like he kind of was. He was trying to do at the beginning of the series, where he was like, I'm 90 years old and stuff like that. But kind of like how Steve was trying to get back into the dating field when Natasha was teasing him like crazy in Captain America and Winter Soldier, saying, you need to catch up on all your references and all these things. So that's my prediction. So guys, before we leave, like we usually do, when we come to the end of the show, we'd say, is the next show gonna be fire? The next show It's gonna be Loki. How long do we have to wait for Loki?
June.
June. So, oh yeah, and the reason we wait until June is because Black Widow isn't Black Widow in between? Isn't that coming out? Or is Loki?
I think Black Widow got pushed back to July.
Yeah.
Oh, they pushed it back. Oh, okay.
Like the first week of July, actually.
Okay. So we're getting Loki first. So we
get a break.
Yes, we're not gonna talk about Black Widow. We're gonna push that back. We're gonna talk about Loki. Nick, is it gonna be fire?
The show is gonna be fire. Like, I have no doubt that the show is gonna be good. I'm just gonna be on, because Marvel is setting up. My theory is Marvel's setting up multiverse, and it's also setting up. It's gonna set up the multiverse, and it's setting up Secret Invasion. So Marvel is setting up things on a multiversal scale, but also on a very planetary scale at the same time. So Loki gonna do some. Same thing with Wanda. Wanda jacked it up at the end of WandaVision, and Agatha said that. So Loki, I feel like he's gonna be boom, 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 using the Tesseract, because remember, the Tesseract is now circulating in that show. So there's an Infinity Stone on the loose. It's on the loose, and it's with Loki. So I'm just saying, listen, it's gonna be fire. I don't even know who could possibly show up. That's not my business. I don't care. All I care about is how is it gonna play into the bigger fabric. Because we all know Spider-Man is coming out this winter. And Marvel has been trying so hard to keep it all under wraps. But the leaks are too powerful. The fans do too much digging. And we know that Alfred Molina and Jamie Foxx are going to be in the next Spider-Man movie. And in case for you people who don't know who that is, we're talking about Electro from the Amazing Spider-Man movies, and then Dr. Octopus from the original Spider-Man trilogy. And Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield stunt doubles are also in the movie. We know what's going on. So there's going to be some multiversal cheese. That's the only thing I'm expecting out of Loki. Give me one post-credit scene that's going to make me jump out of my seat. That's it. And I'm good. That's all I need.
George, it's going to be fire.
Well, I expect it to be fire. You know, for me, the TV shows, I think WandaVision was better than Falcon and Winter Soldier, but that's a conversation we can have for another day.
No, you're right.
All right, good. All right. But my thing is, and I looked back at the trailer of a couple of days ago. I think there's a scene in there where there is a scroll hanging in the corner, but I could be wrong. It could be, you know how Marvel loves to fool us with their trailers, so I'm not going to think too much of it. But there's also a line at the end of the trailer where Loki says, "I'm coming for you, brother." Right? My thing is, I read a report earlier today that Marvel is thinking about filming 3 seasons of the show if the show is good. All right, I wouldn't be surprised. What I think, this is my big theory, is no matter what happens, I think that this version of Loki will end up in the main MCU timeline by the end of the series, and he will play a critical role and become the new Loki of the main MCU, and he will appear in Thor 4, Love and Thunder. That's my big thing. So I think, because I think Thor's dying in that movie no matter what. Doesn't matter what anybody says. Thor's gone. He's history. He's not surviving that movie.
New Thor.
All right, exactly. They've already set it up. You have Valkyrie there. You have, Natalie Portman's Lady Thor. We all know this.
He's looking jacked in the set photos.
Oh my gosh, looking ripped with the biceps.
Natalie Portman is jacked now. She is.
I don't know what she did. Like dang, but she got ripped. But I think that Loki, whatever happens, he will find some way. I don't think they'll bring back the Infinity Stones, but some way he'll find a way to get into the main MCU timeline and have something to do with Thor: Love and Thunder. And when Thor dies at the end of that movie, right, I could definitely see a post-credit scene with Loki, planning something. Because I feel like this Loki, he has to be much different than the Loki we saw from the MCU. He's not going to be the same character that in Thor Ragnarok he finally turns babyface, right? And then at Infinity War he gets the nice, even though his death is sad and gruesome, right? It was kind of a perfect way to end his character arc, with him making that sacrifice, But this Loki has to be different. It has to be a devious Loki. It has to be an evil Loki, right? And if you're gonna do a couple seasons of it, right, you can take time making the Loki you want to do. If you want to have Loki turn babyface again, right, you have plenty of time to set that up. But for right now, we need devious, evil Loki, and we need him in Thor 4. No matter what happens to Thor, I need a evil Loki going forward. Not as an Avengers villain or something like that, but him in the MCU causing havoc with all these other characters and all these other villains coming through is going to be beauty to see. But that's
like
my
Zemo.
thing.
Kind of like a god version of Zemo. That's
Yes.
what Loki would be like.
Yes.
And
That's the Loki.
yes, exactly. And yes, of course, the show's gonna be fire. And what I love about Loki is that devious character, but he's damaged in the fact that he never got the love like Thor got, and it shaped him. And at Ragnarok, there's a scene where Thor and Loki are talking in the elevator, and really, Loki's the god of mischief. So all he's really doing, he's just making mischief. Even though it leads to people dying and all kinds of things, it's mischief. Because what is he doing? He wants attention. He wants Odin to give him attention. He wants Thor to give him attention. And then in Ragnarok, there was an exchange where Thor is just like, listen, Loki, I'm done. Like, all these games you want to play, I'm done. And that's when Loki stops playing games. And he turns, like George says, using a wrestling term, he turns babyface. And then at the beginning of Infinity War, he sacrifices and he dies for his brother. And you go, wow, he did it. But that Loki ain't the Loki we're getting. We're getting the end of the first Avengers Loki, who got thrashed around by Hulk, puny god, Mr. Bow Before Me, that guy, who didn't get to see his mother die, who didn't get to see his father die, and didn't have that exchange in the elevator with Thor, where Thor is just like, man, I've always tried to love you, and I'm just tired trying to prove that to you, right? We're getting a different Loki. And it's also going to point out how we are different people at different times, which is a beautiful concept to explore. And it's also great because we love Tom Hiddleston. And it's interesting how you thought they were dead, but they come back in comic book fashion, right? Yep. So we're getting Tom Hiddleston. He's still around. Zoe Saldana as Gamora. She's a different Gamora. She's around. And we got to see kind of like that with Nebula. Instead, Nebula just shot the other Nebula. But you could see that there were two different people, right? So, and I love that the best one that understood that the best was Nebula herself. And she's like, oh no, we just got to shoot this girl. Shot herself in front of everybody. So, yeah, it's going to be fire. It's going to be good. It's going to be exciting. And that's why we're going to have another show about it. And that's why we call this show MCU Therapy. So everybody, thanks for listening. Hit the subscribe button. If you enjoyed, check us out next time. Bye.